And now an anxious world is ready for the review of Skate Man, Skate Man, Skate Man. Well, this came out in 1983. It was sort of the joke of the industry at the time because people couldn't figure out what it was, and it's kind of goofy, you know. And for Neil Adams, I mean, he's done so much stellar work, and he's also done a ton of creator-owned stuff that's exceptional. And then there's Skate Man, which is weird. When I first knew of this was one of those books that every comic shop had a counter, and they let you thumb through it, and you know you kind of goof on it because it's very much like a middle-aged man trying to be, you know, a young kid, you know. You know, and I'm guilty of the same thing. I'm guilty of the same thing sometimes. So Pacific Comics, they were a distributor. They did comics for about a year, and then it crashed because comics do best when you have hot properties or you have hot licenses to use. So this was kind of an oddball because Neil Adams did some other stuff too. His stuff with Continuity Comics is just exceptional. So getting hit with a roller skate would really jack you up big time. I could never roller skate. I couldn't rollerblade. I couldn't skateboard. And in the old days, a skateboard was a lot thinner and smaller. And then the bigger ones I hadn't tried because I'm like, no, it's too late for me. But on the first page, it's very odd. I thought this was a second cover. In the collecting circles of comics, if you find a comic that has two covers on it, a printer mistake, it really jacks up the value of it. But this isn't the case. I just don't know why. I guess Neil just wanted to get out of the way because he always was working. So I had Incredible Hulk 182, which is the issue after the big Wolverine fight with Wendigo, and 182 had about one page and maybe a panel or two of the Wolverine when he's, you know, heading out. And I had a double cover. I remember I was at Sharpsburg at the drugstore, and I didn't know anything about collectible stuff. I had two covers. And I was like, wow, how about that? So I pulled the top one off and just pinned it on my wall. I loved it, and but I don't fret too much about what could have been when it comes to financial stuff like that. I really don't. And let me see. Because, I mean, why live in I coulda, shoulda, woulda. This is Doc Martin Dies, I think. And I don't know who's doing the color. Maybe a whole Neil production. This was great to limit the color palette so you could see everything clearly. Very smart. So these motorcycle guys are chasing Skate Man. He jumps over the platform, the loading platform. And I guess they're dumb enough to keep going. So we finally clocked the guy. He's all jacked up. And I could do it myself, kid. So he pushes him on his skateboard, the kid's skateboard, and goes to his family's house. And they're like, oh my God. So they're trying to heal him up. Heal him all up. That close-up is amazing. The boy's face and the old woman's face, like all those lines just tell you he knows every muscle of a face and how it works and how it, skin sags. And the coloring on the eyes and the bruises are so dead on. Oh my God, they're nasty. It's like you almost don't want to touch it. So it gives you a flashback. He was a roller derby guy when that was a big deal back in about 5 years ago. I think that's why this was kind of dismissed, because comics are always behind the times. It's like Disco Dazzler came out a couple years after Disco was dead, so they just made her Dazzler. They kept her with the skates and everything. Just lots of stuff like that. So, but it's all in all, it's not that bad. But however, one of his friends on the opposing team fell and he breaks his neck. That is harsh. Oh my God, it looks so real. So what happens is everybody hates him and all that. He goes over to California with his girlfriend, who and back then you didn't have cell phones, and you didn't have ways of tracking people all the time. Well, meanwhile, our hero is still crying about his best friend, and she's like, just let it out, baby. So he goes, you okay, kid? What the shit do you care, pig meat? Sometimes Neil had a funny way of expressing things. What the shit? And I was like, ooh, the word shit. That was a big deal back then. That was naughty. That face in the middle, chef's kiss. Look at that. That white and going into the blue. Well, they find, oh God, his girlfriend slashed horribly, and so things are just horrifying. And he's bitter, tells the kid to get the hell out of his life, la la la. And so was born Skateman, Avenger, searching for the skull-backed jacket. Stopped bikers, noticed the connection. Bikers, migrant workers, bikers. Angel's death, no murder. Jack's murder. So it goes on, and he gets clocked again. Or is that at the same time? I forgot. I read this and kind of glazed over a little bit like a donut. But he made this really kick-ass, skateboard for his kid. Really nice look there. Beautiful use right there. This is a very bold line for Neil Adams. It's clearly like a fine piece of art. Where like somebody draws in ink. That is excellent. And like all the figures, they're always right. And what I think I like about this era a little better is when he was doing Green Lantern, Green Arrow, he would do these like really crazy foreshadowing, or foreshortening. It'd be like the head would be this big, and it would go down to these tiny little legs. He did it on X-Men too. I still liked it, but sometimes it looked really weird. It's like, this guy's 10 feet tall with a big old head. So Skate Man, he's about to get run down, but he squats underneath. Now this is a trope of many, many comics where a truck's about to run you down, you lay flat, goes over you. He's squatting, and I just don't think he would make it. That's a bit, but it's comics. At the end of the day, it's comics. So he rescues Fair Dame, of course. A lot of comics just have women waiting to be rescued. Back then, which is kind of doofy. It's kind of like stuck in the 40s or something. Future world. Now this really knocked me out. It put me in mind of Steve Ditko plus Steve Ditko plus a little bit of Wally Wood, a little bit of I can't quite think of what it is, but it's really amazing stuff. So it is drawn by Jack Arata, and I had no idea who this guy was. I think, he's probably got, this stuff is magnificent, okay? Inks and Letters by Andy Kubert. Jack Arata was a Kubert School student who was the parents of Andy Kubert and Adam Kubert. So what's cool is Andy and Adam would learn to do inks and letters as part of the process, how to get themselves comfortable and familiar with the pages. So it puts me a little bit in mind of, what's his name? A little bit of Russ Manning, sort of. And just beautiful stuff. The coloring is great, too. Those Kubert kids are very Kubert. Kind of like just a couple of those lines in that face. So really, really great. And it says with explosion too, but it's too wonky to explain. Now in the back is Paul Power. I think his name is Paul Power. And I'd like to like it, but it's like too goofy to be serious, and it's too serious to be goofy. It's just an odd style. But I'm not. Hey, he makes a living doing it, that's fine, it's just ink forever and make a living somehow. Guru the Wanderer, PC Comics, that's where he got to start, and then he went to, I think, Capital, or he went to First Comics, but then he ended up at Epic, Marvel's creator-owned imprint, lasted 120 issues, man. That's 10 years exact. And people never got tired of Sergio Aragone's wild art, the guy who kept Mad Magazine probably going for a long time. And Mark Evanier had some great quips in it. Good stuff, good stuff. So, but that Jack, this guy, Jack Arata, I looked him up, and he has such a small bibliography. I don't know if he just was put off and he wanted to maybe do animation or, advertising art. I looked, and I can't find him anywhere on the internet. He's in an issue of New Talent Showcase. For DC, he did about 6 Sergeant Rock books, and a couple other World War II books. I guess that's where his interest lay, whatever. But for Renegade Press, he did Revolver, and for Elite Comics, he did Sea Dragon, just 1 issue each. And it's so mysterious because he's so friggin' good. But, I got this recently because this is late in the 1990s era of Doctor Strange. There was this series started off with, maybe a second, Peter Gillis and somebody I can't remember, I'm sorry. And then issue 5, it kicked ass with Roy Thomas, Butch Geist, which I've covered before. And then it had a lot of different artists, and it was good, but man, between the Book of the Darkhold, the backup feature, and then the other stuff, it got really wordy, and not a lot seemed to happen. And they have epics of so many of these eras. Now, this was an era that I thought was pretty cool because they had this like really elaborate, design on the cloak. And what they did end up doing is they would cut and paste it on there because you can't really draw that from all these different angles. This is Mark Buckingham. He inked and he penciled and inked some Batman books around this time too. And it's written by J.M. DeMatteis, who was just ideal for this kind of stuff. And it's not Mardu, it's Mardu's daughter. Look at that great outfit. Her name is Astrid. Wonderful lettering there. The color, everything is great. I like this book a lot. I like the shadows on Mardu at the bottom there. It's almost like Ditko. So it's like this whole spiritual yada 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 thing. See, there's that cool looking insignia, one of his later costumes. And then they made him a teenager, which was so painfully obvious to try and capture a younger audience. All those comics did that. Yeah, Teen Tony and Iron Man and all that stuff. But I may check out some of the epics here because I enjoyed this. This was the last issue of a certain story, and Mordu is starting to feel remorse. He's especially in light of seeing his daughter, he's begging for forgiveness from Strange, and he's not trying to hoodwink him. So you got that emblem in the middle that no matter what turn he does, nice stuff there, really nice stuff there. And there's no words, no need for words, as Stan would say. Mark did just such a sensational splash that we're not going to waste it with words. We're going to let the art do the talking. So, really, really cool stuff. That's all. I don't want to give it too much away. So this was a nice surprise. Very unusual. Hilly Rose. Boy, I love that art. This is B.C. Boyer. He did for Eclipse Comics. He did The Masked Man, which was it was part of a anthology, Eclipse Monthly, and they did a few issues of that, and then all of a sudden Masked Man goes on book, lasted about 9 issues. So we're talking 10 years later, 10 plus, whoa, hiccup. 10 plus years later, Hilly Rose. I would not have guessed that was the same guy who did Masked Man. And Kat Ironwood is editing. She was his editor at Eclipse. And she, now this was being self-published, and B.C. Boyer, the creator of Masked Man, said, he called her up and said, I need you to, could you edit? And there's some beautiful design stuff going on here. What has happened so far? You went to the store, picked out this comic, laid out your money, came home, and opened it up. Perfect. That just gives you a little bit of the taste of what's going on. The designs are out of this world. And his drawing is improved, because but when he did people before, it was a little, like the eyes, everything seemed a little bit off. And so she's with these other creatures. The eyes are great because they're very much like Michael Golden eyes, kind of, not quite anime, but I see the Michael Golden in the eyes. This guy came out about the same time as Bone did, so I don't know. There's also been some other creatures that look like that too in the past in adventure strips. And the hair, there's so much, it's so solid. My only thing is, I'm not a color snob, but there are panels where I get a little confused at what's going on. And the script is okay. It's not, it's more like you go to enjoy the story. And you don't get hung up on the lyrics. The lyrics. So, I love that. No, thank you. Not soup, not green eggs and ham, not anything. I don't want anything but water. You got that? Ahem. I like this little odd thing. You can see he's pulling a little bit from the guy who does Pogo. And then we get our tribute to Image Comics. What I really like here is the drop off. See, like there should be a line from that shoulder to there, but it's dropped off. In other words, it's like a highlight from ambient light being around them. And he does the same thing on some of the other part of the costume. Sorry, I got a coughing spell there for a sec. Looks like he's look at our little Hilary Barta there. So it's more just fun chaos and nice designs. Oh, you're a stupid head, cupcake sucking, Brady Bunch lover. So it's pretty zany, but it's really well done. The script could use a little bit of tweaking, though. But apparently there were like 5 issues of this. And Weasel Calhoun and Vermin LaCroix. That's part of this issue. Mail. They sent out advanced copies so people can write in. Really cool. I really liked it. And but I guess it didn't last, unfortunately. So now we got Capitan America. This is what is this? This is like 1999. Okay. There was a relaunch, and it had Mark Waid, and it had, I can't believe, Ron Garney. Yeah. So DeFalco and Friends of Doperdang did a fill-in issue. Who doesn't love the Absorbing Man? I love that color on too. He's going the difference. See, these used to have the little, what has happened before? A little origin. Now it's just ad space. And it is awkward to have that extra spare area there. I wonder if people who like do 9.6 grading on comics, if that's a effect, or if things ever get damaged. I don't know. I'm just rambling. So you got yourself some good old friends, bringing the Kirby, bringing the Buscema, all that stuff. That's very Bruce Timm, too. And there he's swinging down like a cover of issue 105. And there's a Kirby panel there. So much fun, so much fun. The Absorbing Man. Oh, Lordy Lou. Who doesn't love the Absorbing Man? He showed up a lot in Thor when the team, DeFalco and friends, did Thor for years and years. They kept bringing him back, and it's smart because he's a cool character. He also brought back the Wrecking Crew, because some people who do Thor, I'll just keep doing this. Some people who do Thor, they get so caught up in the Asgardian stuff. Like the years before issue 300, it was just this huge. It was like Roy Thomas's adaptation of the Ring of the Nibelung. I don't know how you say that, but you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, you got all these great Kirby. I mean, if you're gonna do Cap right, why not? So I love that. And Jesse Doperdang's another great inker who, I don't know, I don't know how long he lasted, but he's really good. So, that is during the issue 105 or 107 when Batroc's getting the hell out of town because there's a bomb going off. And Cap's like, you wuss. Now, here you go, classic comic, probably the most lauded comic of late era Marvel 2-in-1. And I'm not going to lie to you, there were a lot of shitty issues before this and a lot of shitty issues after this, but this seems to have a real sentimental spot with pretty much everybody who's ever read it. Sandman first appeared in Spider-Man number 4, in issue, then Spider-Man annual number 1 as part of the Sinister Six. And I don't think he showed up around again until he became part of the Frightful Four, where Jack Kirby brought him, the Wizard, and let me see, Paste Pot Pete / the Trapster, and Medusa, which was a whole weird thing. That was it wasn't the whole Inhuman background wasn't revealed quite then. Also, returned the Impossible Man, Ron and Chickstone, classic inker. Love it. You gotta do that Kirby tech. And Ron can, like, what's funny is so many of these issues start off with Ben either lifting something that size or he's working out with this new kind of machinery, like a new workout machine. He ends up breaking. And it's like, where did they keep all this stuff? I always wondered that. I do. And then what do you do when it's broken? So, something about the Sandman. But I'm afraid you've heard the last from your old partner, sparring partner, Sandman. What do you think happened to him? So, Hydro Man, who was kind of a dumb character, frankly, recently met, and in a freak accident, their molecules combined to a monstrous mud-like creature. But the authorities were forced to use gas which drained the creature of its moisture and caused it to crumble apart. Amazing Spider-Man. There we go. This canister gets open and you're finally free. And the experiences horrified them, That last dose of radiation must have given our powers the additional boost we needed to completely separate our molecules from each other. If you say so, all I know is that you're you again, I'm me. Being a part of you, a part that was awful mud thing, was the most horrible experience I had in my life. I feel so violated. Don't tell me about it, buddy. I was there, and I ain't exactly broken hearted over the situation either. In fact, I'm completely soured on this whole Berg and the whole super shtick scene, but we'll find out later. You get back into it. Sandman wants a suit. And he threw a few bills my way. Hey, I'll give you some bucks. Shakes this guy out. A 10 spot will do. And they're like, oh my god, he's got sand on his feet. There's no beach for miles. He's like, what am I gonna do? I've seen this picture in the Daily Bugle with the Sandman. I can't take a chance of a super creep. And he calls the police. Yeah, sure, Sandman said he in your bar. Then he calls Fantastic Four. I love that face on Ben. Picks it up. I love that. This is the ever-loving blue-eyed thing of Idol of Millions speaking. World's saved while you wait. If any of the FF come in and tell them I just got the Sandman core in my bar. Did you say bar? I could use a cold brew right now. This clown's probably a nut. But he may be the answer to my prayers. So I guess on that little scooter thing. Comes in. Holy cow! I don't believe it. Grabs table. Miller, time's over. I'm taking you in. He goes, I'll go quietly. Huh? You're surrendering just like that? I've been through a lot through the ringer lately. I'm totally tapped out physically, emotionally, and mentally. I couldn't give you a decent brawl if I wanted to let you go. Hey, for old time's sake, why don't you join me with a quick beer? Ben's like, I know I can beat him if he's playing anything tricky. See, he's usually so arrogant, so self-assured. I've never seen him so down before. What happened to you, tough guy? What's going on? Maybe I'm growing up. Maybe it's the way my life has been playing out. William Flint Marco never got a decent break, so he talks about his broken childhood. And he was a bit of a troublemaker too. He worked like in protection racket, and it's pretty interesting. It goes into his mother disapproves of where this money comes from, and he finds a gal. She cheats on him. He ends up in prison. So gets away. Well, then we get the origin again, where you see the original Spider-Man number 4 explains it. And there, nice little pose. He fought Machine Man once. I always thought, you know what? Why didn't he just turn to the granules, find the little openings in Machine Man and clog them up and just make them fall apart? That's just me. Maybe it's just too mean. So I don't suppose you have time for another beer? No, I have to get going. But why don't you stay and have a couple rounds on me? I don't understand. Aren't you going to arrest me? Why should I? Ain't no cop. According to the authorities, the same man is officially dead. Let him stay dead. Marco, you've had some bad breaks in your life, and so did a lot of other people, and they turned out all right. You got a chance to start all over again with a clean slate. Don't make the same mistakes again. Don't fumble the ball. Think about it. I'll be rooting for you. That silent panel is excellent. Then it goes into this, it's okay. You got DeFalco, Wilson, Stone, Novak, Rousas. Another weightlifting gadget. It's so funny. It kind of like Kirby. I guess Ron Wilson didn't have to go back to refer to the previous workout machine. So basically, all these pain in the ass pop-upians, the Impossible Man bred a female version of himself, and they have a bunch of pop-ups that are pain in the ass. And it's like working at Chuck E. Cheese. I had a friend who worked at Chuck E. Cheese, and I felt so bad for him. It was horrible. Get a lot of disgruntled kids and their parents. And, well, that's all. Good stuff. Good issue there. Really cool fill-in issue. Hilly Rose, I recommend, just because the art's exquisite. And I think it's an issue 1, so I think you have to put everything in issue 1, and then you unfold. So I'm going to be looking for 2 through 5. And I'm definitely going to be looking more at these issues, because it was really good. And Skate Man. They should option him. Not. So, but it's fun. Crazy fun. All right. I love y'all. Thanks for spending a half hour with me. And check out my other videos. I've got scores of them. I've got, I have my random comics, my spinner rack, and I also have one that's just called Drew Racy. And that's a little long form where I talk about one storyline as opposed to going through a bunch of comics. So thanks for coming, everybody, and take care, all of you. Look out for each other.